Welcome to the Merick and Ulrik podcast, Midnight Review, hosted by Merick and Ulrik and author Cleave Bourbon. Tonight we review Joe Rogan's comedy special on Netflix called Burn the Boats and the new Smashing Pumkins record, Aghori Mhori Mei. Enjoy the show. All right, Cleave, good to have you back. This has been a crazy week for me. I got to tell you, it's been just crazy. Monday, my girlfriend broke down in Houston downtown, and the alternator belt just broke or just broke, and it fell out, it disappeared. It just ceased to exist. And so she called me crying, saying the car is overheating and the battery light's on. I said, well, put the heater on and try to get off the highway and stop. So she did, and then I finally got to her. She said it was like 2 hours later. I thought it was an hour later, but she said it was 2 hours later. And then we couldn't tow it. We couldn't do it. The belt had to be changed. So went and got some tools. I didn't have good tools, but I got some tools and got a belt. And I'm a writer. I'm not a mechanic. And it was some of the most grueling work. Afterwards, I felt kind of more like a man than I have in my whole entire life. It took me from 10 p.m. to 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. So it took me 4 hours to change it, which is probably a long time, but figured it out. So that was after. That's not counting the 3 trips I took to get parts, because as soon as I got tools and parts, I was like, you know what, I need a different tool because this is going to not work. So I took three trips to O'Reilly's. Well, actually 2 trips to O'Reilly's and 1 trip to Walmart, because it was like as soon as I found something I didn't have, I had found something else I didn't have. So, but she got back on the road, so she had to go to nursing school the next day. So anyways, so that's just the beginning. It's been a crazy week, just crazy week. How's your week been, man?
My week was okay. I didn't have a lot going on. Um, that was really out of the ordinary or anything. Just working on writing and moving along. Just normal. Luckily, knock on wood, didn't have
anything particular
issues.
you're working on right now that you're working on?
Yes, I am working on the next book in the Tournament
Cool.
of Mages series. Working on it pretty diligently. Actually, to be honest, I'm doing kind of something I've never done before. I'm actually writing the next 2. There's 3 more books in the series, and I'm writing the next 2 like simultaneously because the story
That's cool.
intertwines so much. It's just easier to go back and forth than it is to write one and then try to write the other.
So you're going back and forth between the 2 books to make sure they sync together. That's really cool. So I've been working on a book called The War Drums of Canth, and I realized it's going to be a 1 of 3 books because I started to write this history of this. It's backstory to a backstory of one of my stories. So but I realize now it's going to have to be a 3-book series. It's just no way to put it all in. It's no way to resolve everything in 1 book unless it's a Brandon Sanderson sized book, and I just can't see myself sitting down to write that much in 1 book. So, but it's good. I got that one almost edited, so it should be out should be out this month actually. So I'm just doing the editing on that first book. So
It'll probably bleed into a
4th
book before you know
I'm just
it.
praying, God, no, please let it just be 3. Okay. All right. So hey, tonight we're going to review Joe Rogan's series comedy special. It's called Burn the Boats. It's on Netflix. Came out this month, and I think it came out this month because I didn't hear about it till this month. I believe so. And so we're going to talk about that show, and then we're also going to talk about Smashing Pumpkins' new album that came out, I think, August 2nd, and it's called Aghori Mhori Mei. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Aghori Mhori Mei. Is it May? Yeah.
That's close enough. Aghori Mhori
Yeah,
Mei. That's what it
Aghori
looks like
Mhori
to
Mei.
me.
But we're going to start with the Joe Rogan show. So do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first? Okay, so
Oh, you can go ahead.
I am a fan of Joe Rogan. I like his podcast. I've seen some of his other comedy specials, and I really like them. And I like the fact some of the things that he talks out about in culture and things like that. And so I am coming from a fan mode of Joe Rogan. I really do like him. I mean, he's an interesting guy. He's a mixed martial arts guy. He's Fear Factor host, and he's a comedian, and he's a podcaster, which he just hits a lot of spaces. I'm going to tell you, actually, this was actually a surprise for me because I'm going to kind of give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars for me because to me, the jokes seemed kind of like we call it. I guess back in the old days they call it blue. I guess they're just kind of like a lot of gross stuff, kind of. And I guess maybe I'm more uptight than people know. I guess. I mean, it was funny, but like, um,
There's a
yeah, it was a
limit.
lot of
Yeah.
drug jokes, a lot of alien anal probe jokes, getting high at the airport, woke misgendering, pregnant man breastfeeding jokes. Um, um, it was funny at some point, but to me, it's like I think he was really, and there's some points I think it was really brave of him to push back on some of the cultural wokeness. So, um, that was kind of cool that he's just so brave that he, you know, um, like he had a bit about you should never say these words sometimes, and I thought that was brave of him to do that. But for me, I enjoyed it. It was good. It was a good show. But I felt like after thinking about it, I was just like, kind of like when somebody has a bunch of fart jokes or something like that. To me, so I guess I'm kind of being a little bit negative, I guess. But I really, he's really great, talented artist, uh, comedian. But to me, I was like, maybe for me, it was funny. It was like a little bit more crass than, and I love Deadpool's crassness too. So maybe I'm just weird like that. I don't know. That was some of the jokes were really funny, but maybe I watched it several times too. So it probably hit hardest the first time I watched it. So I don't know. But well, probably the parts that I like the best. Um, yeah, maybe because I'm not a big drug guy too. He talked a lot about getting super high at the airport, and I guess I just didn't have a, a frame of reference. But I thought it was kind of funny. The pregnant man breastfeeding joke was pretty funny. Also, like a baby. If you can imagine a baby breastfeeding on a hairy chest and a man with a beard, and you're like, "Where am I? Where's my mommy?" Yeah, that was kind of funny. But anyway, so that's just kind of a short part of it. I mean, I'd love to discuss more about it. What's your take on it? That's a real quick take.
Okay, my quick take on it is I probably
Oh
give it
yeah.
about three. I am also a huge Joe Rogan fan. I love his podcast. I love when he delves into the really
Hmm.
strange and supernatural kind of stuff because that's fascinating. I've been fascinated by
Hmm.
that my entire life, occultic type things and stuff like that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be writing some stuff in that vein pretty soon. I've been researching it for a while before I start. Plus, I want to
Yeah.
finish what I'm writing now before I get into it. But I like how he does that. And he talks to people, and he's very smart, and he really goes into great detail about he delves pretty deep as far as he considers himself to be stupid. Like
Yeah.
in the act, he was talking about Elon Musk
Yeah.
being way smarter, and he just kind of tunes out and starts thinking about other stuff. And I wonder if he knows I'm thinking about
Yeah.
this, that kind of thing,
Yeah. That was
which I thought
funny.
was funny. I thought the special started
Hmm.
off very strong, and then he started losing me about, and I'm not going to say it out loud on the podcast, but when he started getting to the
Oh
donkey
yeah,
fear
yeah,
factor
that was kind
stuff,
of gross. I mean,
you really have to watch
he
it
kind of
to
gets yeah, it's a little bit,
get that.
but he
I'm
just
not going to
keeps
say it.
going in that direction, and the alien anal probes and stuff like that was just like it seemed like he was kind
Yeah.
of fixated on some, and but there's one part where I thought was kind of funny when he had that when he was talking about the was it the Joe Rogan part, the I'm sorry, the Elon Musk part, or when he was talking about I can't remember now. It's like I got it, I can't think of it. I kind of thought that was kind of funny too about anyways going to Mars part thing out. But anyways, keep going. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. But
The going to Mars. That was pretty funny. I thought that was pretty funny, and he thought, like I said, I think he started off pretty strong. He kind of started losing me there, and it's really strange because I'm used to watching his podcast. I'm used to watching him
yeah,
on there being calm and kind of a certain way, and then when he's in the comedic,
mode. Yeah,
zone, he's all energetic, and it's just like a completely different
yeah,
person. And I don't know if I like that person,
yeah.
but
He
anyway,
Yeah, I'm
I
just
still
kidding.
like him. I'm
I
kidding,
like him too, but I
but
even talks about. I mean, pretty much the whole show was I wouldn't say rated R, but I mean, it's things that would be inappropriate for kids. I'm not, dude. I'm not a prude. I like all kinds of stuff,
yeah,
But to me, it just yeah. I think the thing is like I like comedy when it's more like George Carlin. Even though George Carlin had the seven things you can't say on television, it was very clever and it was more like silly. And I guess I like the dry humor a little bit more. And I'm not saying it was terrible. It was just it was to me it was like a B, maybe a B minus. Just
Yeah, the gross out fart joke kind of humor. Yeah, it's not really my thing either. Too much. Some of his material too was recycled from earlier specials or earlier, like from his. I recognized a couple things from the
Mm-hmm.
podcast, like the one where he's talking about the girl, um, the dragon, and the lighter. It's like saying that you have
Yeah,
a lighter and you're a dragon. That was actually
yeah.
on his podcast at one point. And then there was
But
something
you
else. I
know,
can't remember what it
comedians
was,
do
but
that. They go and they go on the road and they say a bunch
yeah,
of jokes and they wait for their special. They see which ones land and then they use them again for their special. So that's not like it's not like unusual.
right,
I
yeah,
think I'm thinking of a joke that I did like, and that was the thing was like talking about how it's like a magic wizard has come to our land and say you know then again it is very crass. You could walk into a ladies restroom or ladies locker room with a heart on and everybody will say abracadabra, it's okay. I was like, yeah, so like um I can't, I didn't land that joke, but that there's parts of it that were kind of funny. But again, I guess we don't need to beat a dead horse on that. um Anything else we want to say about that? I feel like we just kind of both agree on that. We didn't talk about this before. You know not at all.
Mhm.
So
Um, but like I said, as I did
yeah.
laugh at some parts. Now I will admit that when it got to where it was
Yeah.
getting pretty crass, I was sitting in a really comfortable
Yeah.
chair with my cat, and so I started
Yeah.
drifting off a little bit. But I had to keep bringing myself back, so I had to kind of
Yeah.
rewatch it a couple of times, the last part of it. But I kind of had to trudge through it. Most of it, I think, was like you said, probably
Yeah.
about a B plus. It started off strong, and then I think he kind of he was having fun,
Yeah.
and that part I liked. I liked that he was
Yeah.
really having fun doing it, and it came across. And he even said a couple of times, "Oh, this is fun," and so that was kind of important.
Yeah, and
But
I feel like he really did was energetic and really, obviously I don't think I could do what he does. I don't think especially not on that level. I would have, bombed even if I had all that material. There's no way I could pull it off at all. Yeah.
the comedians I tend to gravitate towards as far as comedian wise, and I cannot or be people
Yeah.
like Jim Brewer. He cracks me up so much
Yeah.
with his faces and the way he does his
Yeah.
voices and stuff. He was from Saturday Night Live. He was
Yes,
the
I
goat
remember
boy in
that.
Saturday Night
Yeah.
Live. In case people don't know who he is. And then there's one called Brian Regan. He's really funny. But when I think of Joe Rogan, I guess I had trouble a little bit too because when I think of Joe Rogan, I think mostly
Yeah.
podcaster, UFC. I think of hosting Fear Factor, and then I put it as comedian like at the towards the
Yeah.
bottom. I go, oh yeah, he's a comedian too. I forget about that part. So I but as far as him and his watchability and like I watch shorts on his podcast all the time. Big huge fan. So I'm not bashing
Yeah.
him as like he's not
He asks really
uh,
intelligent questions and
a
stuff,
cool
and
guy or anything.
yeah, he's always talking about aliens. And then he did talk a little bit about him getting canceled a lot, and I thought that was really kind of funny too, because he talked about like Prince Harry canceling him. And you're like, when you're canceled by a prince, when you're like called out by a prince, and I thought that was pretty funny. That part too. And if you think when you think
Yeah, it
about it,
had its
he had
moments.
so
Yeah.
many, and he even said the line about like during COVID, and then I don't want to say all his lines, I don't want to ruin it for you, but the part when he was talking about after COVID, I don't believe anything. Basically, I believe like everything's a conspiracy theory.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember
That
that.
was
That,
good,
that
yeah.
was good.
But yeah. But if you haven't seen it, I think it's worth a watch. But if you don't like more crass humor, you probably won't like it. I'm sure my mom would be like, turn it off. Yeah, but other than that, I mean, it's funny that I would just be so conservative in this way. But there's some humor I really like. I like the drier humor. I guess I always liked like Dimitri Martin, and I remember Mitch, the late Mitch Hedberg. I like just I don't know why. I just like the dryness of like wit and the old George Carlin. And I'm trying to think of the new comedians. There's one comedian I can't think of his name that does a really good Donald Trump impression that's really funny. I can't think of the guy's name, but
Oh, I watched part of him after I watched Joe Rogan. I think I know who you're talking about. Is he also the one that talks about his family with
I'm
Down
not sure.
syndrome?
But
Is
he
that the
did.
same one? Where they have the most fun of everybody. He
Yeah,
talks about them in a positive
he
way, of
did
course.
one of which is he
He
did
does
Donald
Donald
Trump. The
Trump
one I'm
too.
thinking of does Jordan Peterson too, and it's really funny. And you know, he's like
Hmm.
talks with his hands. I don't know exactly, but it was funny. Yeah, yeah. Anyways, this was a good. It was okay, but I would give it a B. So, if you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix, and it's a different side of Joe Rogan. I think probably people who have never seen his comedy will probably be like, "Whoa, that's different." So, but I did remember some of his
Yeah,
older.
for sure.
I've seen at least one other comedy special that I thought was really funny, but it's been a while. It's been like a while for me to see a Joe Rogan comedy special. So yeah. So I guess that's it. We're gonna move on. So we don't need to talk more about this. So if you haven't seen it, go see Joe Rogan Burn the Boats, and I give it about 3.5, and Cleave gives it a 3 stars out of 5. So we'll go check that out. All right, we're gonna pause for a commercial, and we'll be right back. Have you read Brothers of Chaos Part 1, an epic coming-of-age dark fantasy tale by Merick and H. Ulrik? Vandrin of House Glenclair faces insurmountable odds fighting against the corrupt Melborians. He will rely on an unexpected friendship with an elf named Zankadin Umbadin and his alluring sister Zyla. Together, they will face the will of the Blood Queen, Empress Ash Akzana, and a treacherous plot of a beautiful young blood mage named Lilith. This series is epic fantasy, sword and sorcery, mild dark fantasy with some adult situations. You may find it on Amazon Kindle Unlimited, audiobooks with Audible, and you can buy the whole series in print. Brothers of Chaos by Merick and H. Ulrik. Have you read Red Mage Ascending, the Mage of Blood Magic, in the Tournament of Mages Book 1 by Cleave Bourbon? The servant girl has a secret, and she's hiding it in plain sight. Hannah works for a well-to-do family who treats her well, but something is not quite right. The servant girl doesn't act like a servant. She speaks with multiple languages, including High Elvish. She is a skilled musician and a talented artist. There is also another talent, but its secret Hannah guards closely. She can use blood magic. She is hiding because she knows if she is found out, she will have to fight in the Tournament of Mages, a contest where she will be pitted against 5 other mages with different forms of magic. She has left everything behind, her family, her friends, and the one secret she dares not reveal. Now available on Kindle, audiobooks on Audible, in hardcover and paperback. Find it online on Amazon Kindle, Barnes & Noble's, iBooks, Kobo, and wherever you buy good books. This book is by Cleave Bourbon. Buy it now. All right, and we're back. Yeah, so now we're going to talk about Smashing Pumpkins' new album that came out on the 2nd, and that is Aghori Mhori Mei. And I got to say, I was pleasantly surprised on this. I guess because now I haven't heard all of the latest Smashing Pumpkins albums, but I heard this one coming out, and I really wanted to talk about it. And so how do we start on this? It's a 10-song album, I believe, and it starts off with a 6 minute and 46-second song, and I really feel like this is like a. Can you hear me? Okay, Cleve, am I coming through? Oh, cool. So
Yeah, yeah.
there's a couple songs that really stuck out to me after listening to this album a couple times through. I can't see like a single off of it like you heard like when I was younger, just as where I came in the 90s, kind of came into being a teenager and then to like a young adult. I mean, Smashing Pumpkins had Siamese Dream was their big breakout album with Today, and I think it Disarm. I think are some of their bigger hits when they first came out. Those are the ones that I really remembered. And then you had on Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, you had songs like Today and 1979. Those are kind of like pop singles, I would say. So I didn't hear like a pop single to me. Maybe Cleve will disagree with me. I didn't hear one pop single that really stuck out as this is going to be like a single or top single. But what I did hear was just like a really good uh, rock or metal, if you want to call it that, alternative. And I really liked how they came out really kind of strong in the first two songs, and they're very cryptic in their titles and stuff. And I'm probably listening to some of their lyrics. And the funny thing is, I'm a pretty conservative guy, but my favorite songs off the album so far is track 2, Pentagrams, and track 9, Sikaris. So I was really looking into these songs, and the lyrics are not what you would think. And they even have a song called Pentecost, which is pretty good. Another title of a song that I really like, War Dreams of Itself. I mean, that is just a crazy title, but I like the song. It's very listenable. My girlfriend and I listened to it, and there's some albums by Smashing Pumpkins to me that don't hold up as well as some of the earlier ones, and I need to go listen to some of their discography that I might have missed. But in my opinion, from what I've heard, I wouldn't put I wouldn't put these in order, but like just say their top 3 albums in my opinion are Gish, um, Siamese Dream, and Melancholy and Infinite Sadness. And for me right now, I can't think of anyone that would be better than this one as in the 4th spot. But I need to look back and really listen, because there's some albums I really didn't care for. Uh, that just didn't hold up. But the other thing too, when I remember listening to Melancholy and Infinite Sadness, I had to really listen to it for a long time before I became like really familiar with the songs, and to me they're classics. But at the time, I wasn't even sure if I liked them, because they had songs like "Tales of the Scorched Earth" and and even listening to 1979 for the first time, it was kind of like listening to "Free Falling" for the first time. You're like, "What is that? Do I like it? Is it good?" Because it was so unique, and I feel like so it's hard for me to judge these songs right now because I've just heard them. But the rhythms of the song are really grooving. Jimmy Chamberlain is just really locked in, I think, on it just gets me. I mean, some of it's kind of like, how Led Zeppelin kind of had that groove in some of the songs. And one another band that I really like is um them Crooked Vultures, and that has John Paul Jones in it, and has Josh from Queens of the Stone Age, and it has Dave Grohl. But so I really enjoyed this album. I want to give it like very high marks. It's kind of too early to judge, but I want to give it like a 4.5. But I love to dig deeper into some of the songs. We'll discuss some of these songs with you, Cleave. From my first go through, I just thoroughly enjoyed it. It seemed like it sounded like Smashing Pumpkins, except it didn't seem. I didn't see a clear pop single. Maybe I should go over it again, because there's some lighter songs that aren't so heavy, but I don't know if the hook in those songs were so big that I'd be like, that is going to be like a classic Smashing Pumpkins song. It's hard for me to tell right now. So, but that's my first brief overview, and then I'd love to go deeper into the album if you want to.
Yeah, we can. My first take is it was funny that you said that you didn't see
Yeah,
a
yeah,
single pop single. That was going to be one of my
yeah,
points. Was I didn't hear one song that really stood out, like you could play it on the radio and be like, oh,
yeah.
everybody's gonna love this. This is a definitely a hit. I didn't hear like that either. However, I think a couple of them came close. I think you already mentioned
Mm-hmm.
one, Sakaris. I think was it's one of my
Yeah,
favorites as well. I liked 999. I also like Go with the
yeah,
Fall. Some of the beginning ones from Pentagrams through Pentecost, about 3 or 4
yep,
songs there. After listening to a couple times, I don't know, maybe it was his voice a little bit or something. I don't know. They all started sounding similar to me. I started like, well, which song is this? And they started running together a little bit for me, but um, they had different rhythms and stuff, and it was different music for sure. It's just that they were kind of slower and kind of dreamy,
yeah,
which is a good thing if you're in the mood for that, of
yep,
course. And but when we got around to oh, and I also liked War Dreams of
yeah,
Itself. I thought that was a crazy
yeah,
title as well. I agree with you on that
yeah.
one. And I was really excited to get to number 10 because it's titled Murnau. And I'm a big horror fan, and F.W. Murnau is the director of
Oh,
Nosferatu.
okay.
So I thought, oh, this is going to be something
Dark.
true to Murnau. And it might be, but when I looked at the lyrics, I was like, this says nothing about Murnau. It doesn't even have the title, it doesn't have the word Murnau in the entire song.
Yeah,
So I was like,
weird.
maybe it's about him. There's a couple things that made me think that maybe it's about F.W. Murnau
Yeah,
in a sort of way, but I wasn't sure. I need to go back and look at
yeah.
that. But I was excited because I was like, oh, this is going to be like scary sounding or
Yeah.
something, and it really kind of wasn't. But yeah, I think it was a pretty good. I'd probably give it about, I don't know, 3.5 to 4. I have not listened to any of the recent Smashing Pumpkins either, and being from the '80s and
Mm-hmm.
'90s, I was born in '68,
Yeah.
so I was in high school in the late '80s, and of course in the '90s, I was just in my 20s, so I was listening to all this stuff of the '90s, and the three albums you mentioned, I remember really vividly. I was at the time I just gotten married and I had a new baby, and I was working as I was the dock receiver of a place called Drug Emporium. It's a
Yep.
pharmacy, and I was the receiver. And one of the guys, the Hearts um, pet representative, came in, and he had Siamese. He called it Siamese cats because he's a pet
Yeah.
guy. But he said, "If you listen to this album, the Smashing Pumpkins, that's the first time I ever heard of him." And that was really weird because I remember that so vividly. That's the first time I was ever introduced to Smashing Pumpkins. And I was like, no. So I listened to it and I was like, wow, because it was so new and so cool. And so I kind of wonder when I get to this album, it's good, like you say, but I kind of wonder, have they kind of, I don't know, they use up all their rocket sauce in those first three albums, or
You know,
because
yeah,
like you
I
said,
don't feel like they've ever topped those first three albums. But have you listened to a lot of the Melancholy Infinite Sadness or?
yeah, yeah, I love that album and Gish, like you
Mhm.
mentioned, and Siamese Dreams, and you know, uh, like everybody else in the '90s, those were huge. They were huge.
Yeah.
So, and then of course I was a big Collective Soul fan too. And I don't know if you're aware of the kind of feud that Billy Corgan has with
No, I'm
Collective
not
Soul.
familiar with it.
There's one song, and I was trying to remember it earlier before we got on the podcast, not forgotten now, but there's one song that Billy Corgan is just convinced that Collective Soul stole from
Oh
them.
yeah.
That is their song,
Yeah, I mean these guys are.
and I can't
I
remember
mean
what
they're are they they're in their 60s or 50s. I think they got to be in their 60s, and they're playing away. So that's kind of cool. But they're not teenagers anymore. No, I think
yeah,
when did Siamese Dream come out? Was it 92 or 93?
yeah, it was early
Yeah,
'90s.
and that was 30 years ago. So yeah, excuse me. But yeah, I really enjoyed the album. I'm gonna really probably listen to it more. I think what I found is that the album is I don't know, it's Bob Dylan said you can come back, but you can't come back all the way. I just don't hear a single or like a one song that stands out. I wonder if I can play like I'm gonna play like 10 seconds, and I'm gonna use this microphone. I've done this before. This is gonna be better than screen sharing, okay? But hold on a second. I want to play like 10 seconds of one of these songs. Let's look here. I'm gonna try to play 10 seconds of let's see, 10 seconds of let's see what's the song I want to play. Yeah, of pentagrams. Let me get on here. Let's get back. So that one's 646. It's gonna be right here. Here we go. Let's just play like 10 seconds. I did get some of the audio of the warning on our podcast. I put it in there. I think we didn't get flagged, so I put that song. If you listen to the podcast not on YouTube, you would hear some of that. You heard that's total bad English. Here we go. Let me see. Let's play a couple seconds. Here we go. Okay, come on. Not very loud. Can you hear it now?
Mm-hmm. No, barely hear you now.
You're not gonna hear me because the microphone's on.
I can't hear anything.
Really overdriving a little bit. gonna stop it right there. I don't want to get any copyright infringement, or I don't think we're monetized anyway, so we're not gonna get.
It might be my side, but it sounds like someone's trying to play something to you over an analog
Yeah, that's
phone.
pretty much because
It's just it's like
I just put my microphone on the other speaker of the other computer. So,
yeah.
but
Well, it was just cutting in and
so
out on my side, but on your side it
so
might be
I'm trying to
fine.
understand
But
what this song is about. Pentagrams. And I'm just gonna read some of the lyrics here. This is Pentagrams by Smashing Pumpkins off of their new album Aghori Mhori Mei. This is Pentagrams. Love never dies. A love as ice. For always, forever I, love never dies. Love never dies. As true, real, and mine. For always, forever I, love never dies. Labyrinth milk syringe, who leaves the gates gold. Scorpion, Scorpio, pay as you go. When we're young and dead heroes, pay as you go. On the down, need a hit of of iridium. Sorry. On the town and the tedium, ghastly bland chameleons. Lost, I'm in. Oh, the wheel, bearing the brunt and brutalist. No hint of sun or reverence, stirring warmth and covenant. Lost, I'm in. Chilled as kisses breathe. The serpent and the choir, whilst tombs and blooms ink dust. It's faint, and this wish to freeze, midst Diana and the hunt. Lie the dog's cathedral cut, Lazarus, Lazari. Who makes the wind will, pipers panned Prospero, pay as you go. When you're young and dead heroes, pay and you go. When we're young and dead heroes, pay as you go. Love never dies. A love is ice. For always, forever I, love never dies. Love never dies. As true, real, and mine. For always, forever I, love never dies. For always, forever I, love never dies. For always, forever I, love never dies. Need a blast? Iridium, blow the town for tedium. Leave the damned and delirium. For all you know, monkey minds and medium. I don't know. I just kind of like that. I don't know. I don't know what. Maybe I'm a fan. Maybe I'm a fanboy here of the Smashing Pumpkins.
but what does it mean?
Yeah, it doesn't. What's funny though is like like my old Southern Baptist. I'm not a Southern Baptist, but my parents were kind of Jesus hippies, and you see anything that says pentagrams is like that's the devil's music, boy. Can't be listening to that.
Yeah,
But it's like,
I was also raised Southern Baptist,
well, I
so
really wasn't raised Southern Baptist, but I was in that same circle, Pentecostals, whatever. My parents were Jesus hippies, but
yeah,
but I would say just I just that something about this just really is pleasing. The first song, Eden, I would say it's Eden is spelled Edin, and listened to like some kind of teaser on YouTube, and it was when Billy Corgan was talking about this album is like he said we just wanted to do something for us. Oh, in the past we had albums where we had the gatekeeper tell us, what's your which songs are going to be on the album, or I might be paraphrasing a little bit, but he said, that would tell us what we could play, what we couldn't play, and to start an album with
hmm
a almost 6.5 or over 6.5 minute song, 6 minutes and 46 seconds, and then the next one follow up with a 6 minute and 25 second song. So, Cleave, I think, like you say, like the songs are so long that you're like, okay, is this the next song already, or is it the same song? Because a lot of the rhythms kind of trail into the other ones, but I think it's either a positive or negative depending on what mood you're in, kind of. Because I feel like this is kind of an album, it's a kind of like no, say this. There's some songs that are like a collection of singles, and then there's some albums. Say songs. I'm saying all backwards. There's some records that are like a collection of singles. Just hit, 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 and they're pop 4 minutes, 3 minutes. But I feel like there's some albums you listen to, and they're just like an album. And I kind of my feeling of that is it's just there's not one song that really stands out as like a pop hit, but like there's a lot of good songs that are just kind of like flow into the other ones. So I really like this.
yeah. And if you really look into it, there's a lot of symbolism in the
Yeah,
titles. Pentagrams, penta is
yeah,
5, and then you look down a little
yeah,
Pentecost. Pentecost is also
yeah,
5. Then you look down further, you got nine nine
yeah.
nine.
It sounds. Yeah.
So I was wondering, Eden is the first, Eden is the first track, but it's also the first in, it's spelled Eden, but Eden is the first thing in the
Yeah.
Bible. And then, so it could be simple as some numbers. It could be like one through, you know, nine is the seventh, 999 is the seventh song. But, when you look at it, it could be more to it, for them. Who
Yeah,
knows?
I think that's funny is that
It might be more of a concept
if you
album.
listen to Bob Dylan, like early Bob Dylan, he was never clear about what he was talking about. Like when you listen to the "Hey Mr. Tambourine Man," what is he talking about? When the jingle jangle morning, I'll come following you. Yeah, it's like it's very poetic in some ways. I don't know, I really love this album so far. It just I don't know why. It just so far I really like it. I like it's. I don't hear a single, and I probably need to go over and like. I don't feel any. Some of these
I don't
songs that
either.
just I need to listen to more because, like you say, like they go on to the next one, and I'm like, was that Sigami or was that Pentecost? I don't know. I can't remember right now. And I've listened to the album several times, but those two songs that set out to me is the Pentagrams and Sakaris. Sakaris. I'm going to play a little bit of Sakaris. I'm sorry for the audio quality. I don't know what else I can do at the moment. Have to figure out something. You know what? I probably have a way to go directly to my interface and record from the computer, but I'm not sure how to do that. It's probably something so simple because I have two tracks there. I could do it, but I don't know how. Let me go set that up for a second. Anything else you want to say about that before I get up to that? So we play some Sakaris.
Um, like I agree with you. That's one of my favorites on the album is Sakaris. After I got to 999 through Sakaris, I really liked. I like those three songs. The second one is Goeth the
Yeah,
Fall. They were a little bit more upbeat, but even though they were a little bit upbeat, they still kind of fell into that kind of slow
yeah,
melancholy. The whole album to me was kind of like, if you're, I don't know, if you're looking for an upbeat, um, single heavy, punchy kind of songs, these are not
yeah, yeah,
those. However, they are pretty deep, and as far as lyric wise, the lyrics are. I mean, what I did was this is the way I listened to it. I went and I listened to it on Apple Music, and then I brought up a lyric sheet, and I listened to it, and I watched the lyrics at the same time, so I kind of figured out what they were trying to say. And the lyrics are extremely deep. I could tell that Billy Corgan was probably, sitting around thinking about these deep things. And like you said, if he wrote it for themselves, they wanted to write it for themselves. That makes a lot of sense to me. But I don't know. There, like you say, there's not one that stands out. Like you could put this on the radio and be like, everybody would love
yeah,
it. There's nothing on there I would think that was like, oh, this is going to be a hit for
yeah,
sure. Like um, Bullet with Butterfly Wings and stuff like that just blew you
yeah,
away, like
yeah.
right from the very first
Exactly.
part
Those
of it.
blow you away. Um, I'm thinking that they had an album last year in 2023, and I didn't even. Okay, so I don't know if my computer's glitching right now because I'm actually changed screens, and I think it kind of messes up when I do that. But if you want to, there's so many records since okay, Aghori Mhori Mei is 2024, and then they had
Mm-hmm.
Zeitgeist in 2007. It didn't really Adore. I didn't really that didn't really nothing off that really stuck to me. Machina, the Machina Shina, Oshina in 2012, Syra in
Atum,
2020, and they have a couple more. They had one last year, I believe. They had
Atum,
I think yeah yeah,
2023.
and so
Atum or Atum.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
and they so a lot of these
looks like every other year.
songs didn't really stand out to me. So I like to go back and see did I miss something because I can't remember a Smashing Pumpkins album that I cared about since really Melancholy and Infinite Sadness because I think Adora I remember that one coming out and really being disappointed. So but hey, I'm like 20 years older, so maybe I should go back. Maybe I'll have a different perspective because a lot of things will hit you when you're younger, and then maybe they won't hit as good. It's just really weird. So you never know. Maybe I missed something. No telling.
Yeah.
No telling. All right, so I'm okay. I'm gonna go ahead and play couple couple 10 15 seconds of Sakaris. We're gonna start it off at about
Okay.
we'll start it off at about 20 15 seconds in, and let's see here. This plays. I don't know where I should put the speaker to make it perfect. Here we go. So, anyways, that the lyrics in this song are kind of dark too. They're kind of weird. I was looking up the lyrics, talking about the god Kali,
Yeah.
but I don't. I just like the rhythm. Sounds really cool. It's got a kind of entrancing kind of rhythm. Um, I'll go ahead and read the lyrics for Sakaris. And it's funny because when I googled this song, it kept wanting me to say, did you mean Icarus?" And I was like, "No, I meant
Yeah.
Sakaris." So it's so funny. Funny. Google kept wanting to change what I see. You didn't really mean that, do you? So it says, and I think it's like in flames, why in flames? I don't try to sing it. In flames, why in flames, darkened in flames, deaf from the decadence, I in the dance, entranced, unmasked, before you laugh, your last I ask you want, midnight blue in the daylight. Sunshine orange near a fireside. By any means we fall. Kali, let's touch beyond with us. At love at last. Kali, let's touch beyond with us. At love at last. By remains ashened, by remains slave to the decadence. Our mother wept with her kid in trance. Before you made my peace therein, you wait. Midnight blue in the daylight, sunshine orange near a fireside. By many means we fall. Kali, let's touch. Beyond with us. At love at last. Kali of dawn. Sat Nam Shri Ram. At love at last. So I think that's probably got to be the chorus part. Every time he says Kali, let's touch. That looks like a weird word. Sat Nam Shri Ram. It's got to be a different language. Love will slay thee.
And he somehow sings all
I
this.
know,
Yeah.
and it's just how he sounds, his signature weird voice. And I did watch a. Let me just finish these lyrics and we'll constant. Love will slay thee, love will slake thee. Kali, take me home. Love will slay thee, love will slake thee. Kali, take me home. Black holes and hope raised my intentions alone. Who reaps for those who can't but listen yet know and no, and no. In flames, why inflamed, darkened in flames, deaf from the decadence, in I the flames entranced. You want in flames, in flames, midnight blue in the daylight, sunshine orange near a fireside. By any means, we fall. You know, being a musician, I mean, I'm not a drummer. But I don't think that's in 4/4 time. It's got to be some weird time signature. It seems to me. It's like dun 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 dun. Kind of has a weird. I might be getting it all wrong, but it seems like it's a. Mm-mm, mm-mm. I might be messing it all up, but my guess is it's not in 4/4. Uh,
No, I don't think so. I don't think that's the time signature.
yeah,
I think you're right. Um, but um, it is kind of catchy. I mean, it's one of the catchier
sounds
songs.
kind of tribal in some kind of points. The I heard that I heard Billy Corgan interviewed on uh, Rick Beato, and they talked a lot about his. He talked about he had a hard time singing in the studio because with the headphones on, he hears himself kind of an echo of the, and he said he's always been very pitchy. He's had a very hard time, and something about his voice is pitchy, and it's like kind of like I don't know, like he's not singing the notes everybody else is playing. He's always kind of been that way. That's what he said. And I don't know, it's just something that works for him. It's like you know what I mean? It's kind of like his signature. But he has that weird voice. I like it. It's kind of like something. I think it's an acquired taste though because it's like I expect that from Billy Corgan. And then there's other people who hate the Smashing Pumpkins and they're like, his voice is so grating. You know?
Well, they said the same thing about Rush and
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
and there's some others where they have a strange voice like that, but it fits their music.
yeah. Yes, absolutely. Um, yeah. This is one of those albums that makes me want to actually go back and listen to more Smashing Pumpkins albums and see like did I miss something. But it might be just the thing that like it's good enough to be like a major label record that people will want to listen to and explore. And I think
Mhm.
the mystery of some of the song titles and the lyrics add to the enjoyment because it's just not telling you exactly what they mean. It's like it's a it's a weird riddle. You kind of want to know, like, what are they talking about? It depends on
Yeah.
your point of view, I guess.
And if people are listening and they heard me talk about the Collective Soul Smashing Pumpkins thing earlier, well, here's your payoff. The song is "Shine" from Collective Soul, and Billy Corgan and thinks it's a ripoff of "Drown" or "Snail," one of the two. I think it's "Snail"
Wow,
of Smashing
that's
Pumpkins. And there's actually a little clip on YouTube if anybody cares to look for it. It's where Billy Corgan they're playing
mm-hmm.
"Shine," Collective Soul Shine, and then they stop at the end. And he goes, "I hate that song. It's our song. It's a ripoff." You know, he says that at the end after playing the song like at a
So
concert.
Billy Corgan
So
played the
Billy
song.
Corgan being Billy Corgan,
He played the song "Shine," and
do what?
he played "Shine."
Yeah, he played and sang the song "Shine." You know, and then after it was over, he said, "I hate that song." You know, of course, he was a little more
Yeah,
colorful, and then he said, "It's our song," and you know that's Billy Corgan being
weird.
Billy
Yeah,
Corgan.
that's weird. Yeah, because but the thing is that Billy Corgan would have sang it so much different than Collective Soul that you wouldn't think it's the same song. But I could kind of imagine in my head, it does sound a little bit Billy Corgan, a little bit Smashing Pumpkin. If you just imagine him singing it and not Collective Soul singing it. Heaven, let your light shine down. I don't know. It just sounds so different, though.
Yeah,
That sounds so different.
but it does sound different. And I've watched an interview where I forget what his name is, the lead singer of Collective
Mhm.
Soul, where he was talking about it. He's like, I had no idea who that even was
Yeah.
back then. He didn't even know when he wrote "Shine." It was just kind of one of those
I
coincidences. I
think so,
think
probably too.
it might be
I could be
wrong,
wrong,
but
but I've heard. I met the late. I don't know if you remember Billy Joe Shaver, a country singer. He wrote the song "Been a Fast Train to Georgia," and he swore that Bob Dylan stole
mm-hmm.
some of his songs. And it's hard to believe that Bob Dylan was still one of his songs. I can't remember the name of it, but he said that Bob Dylan stole one of his songs. But it's hard to believe. But yeah, but
Well, I met a songwriter that actually wrote a couple of Elvis songs, and he actually wrote "Welcome to My World." You know who sings that song? "Welcome to my world, won't you come on in?" He wrote that song. I met that guy here
cool.
in where I live and talked to him.
No,
Anyway,
that's cool. That's
beside the
cool.
point.
Yeah, I like all styles of music. So this has been a kind of a cool. I've enjoyed listening to this all week. So I'm gonna probably keep it in my playlist personally.
I recommend listening to it. Yeah, everybody should give it a
Yeah,
listen and make up their own
yeah,
mind. You know,
exactly.
they might hear a hit. We don't hear it here, and we might hear a hit after we listen to it a couple more
Yeah,
times.
that's true.
But I don't think it was. I don't think he wrote it to be
Yeah, I don't think so.
a
I
commercial
don't think
hit.
so either. I feel like he just kind of wrote it to be like, hey, we can do whatever we want to do. We're Smashing Pumpkins, and I think he had something he wanted to express. And it's funny to note that the original bass player is not with a band anymore. I don't know if anybody's noticed that in the last few years,
Yeah,
because
I noticed
at
that.
one point the band totally broke up. And I was there a point in the band when Billy Corgan was the only original guy that was still playing under the name Smashing Pumpkins,
Yeah, it was.
and
Uh
then they
huh.
got Jimmy Chamberlain back, and there's a one point that Jimmy Chamberlain was like so bad on heroin that he couldn't play with the band anymore. I remember that. And
Yeah, I remember that
James
too.
Eha, they all went through ups and downs. And at one point, was the bass player's name Darcy, or am I getting it all wrong?
Yeah, I think it was.
And even James Eha and
She was
her
a
were dating, and that was kind of crazy. But what I heard, I've heard something from both the bass player and from the band, and the band says that she just wouldn't show up to practice anytime that they asked her to come show up, and so they stopped asking her. And then she says that they never asked her at all. So it's kind of hard to say. There might have been some kind of differences of that they just weren't willing to, and they felt like what Billy Corgan had said was that, hey, we'd all been working together, and she just didn't wasn't bothered to practice or come, so we just stopped asking. But I don't know if that's accurate. One person says that, the other person says they never asked me. So,
well.
and it,
That sounds like Andy Taylor and Duran
yeah,
Duran, where he just kept stopped showing up and things like
yeah,
it happens in a lot of
yeah,
bands, and you never know because both of them tell a different story.
yeah. I'm not there, so
It happens a
yeah.
lot.
I will say though, this album does really showcase, in my opinion, Jimmy Chamberlain's drumming. Just to me is like really solid,
Yeah,
and the bass lines sound great too. But we don't have a bassist on the that I at the top of my mind to attribute that to. But
yeah. I didn't look into the liner notes to see who was playing the bass, and I usually do because I'm a
mhm.
bassist, but I didn't. I didn't in this particular instance. I guess I just assumed it was still. I don't know. I didn't
Okay,
look,
well,
so it might be more than one
to me,
person.
this is my fourth.
It might have had
This
a
is
lot
my
of
fourth favorite
guests.
Smashing Pumpkins album, personally, but it doesn't come close to Melancholy, Infinite Sadness, or Gish or Siamese Dream, just because it doesn't have that hit factor. I mean, you know, but
Well, I need to go back and listen to those interim albums because I haven't
yeah,
really listened to anything since the three you
yeah.
mentioned, and there might be some good ones in there
Yeah,
somewhere.
I agree
That's
100%. I think I need to. I might be wrong because I haven't. And also, this music is kind of some of it's kind of weird. I think some of it I need to listen to more to see if I don't like it or if it's overplayed. So some of these songs like this, either they grow on me and they stay like great, or I'll get burnt out on them and be like, "Oh, that was repetitive." So it's hard for me to tell. But this album came out August 2nd, and this is August 13th or 12th, 10th. I can't even remember what day it is. So 10th.
10th.
So just if you haven't heard they just what, another thing I just heard about this, it's not even available to buy right now. It's just streaming. They said they're going to make it available to buy.
Really?
Maybe it is available on iTunes, but they don't have like physical copies anywhere, is what I was told. They just wanted to get it out to the public right away.
Wow.
And I mean, that's pretty much what people listen to. So they didn't have the distribution yet, but they just want to put it out. So I thought that was pretty cool. So, anyways,
Well, that's kind of cool.
so man, I we disagree just a little bit. I really like the album, but again, it's not like at the top of any of their other albums. So I'll have to go back and listen to the other ones. Um, but those two songs to me, Sakaris and Pentagrams. But I need to listen to some of the other tracks like War Dreams of itself. But right now, like on the top of my head, if I try to think of how it sounds, I can't remember because all the other songs kind of bled together. So
Yeah, that's one of the problems that I
yeah,
had. They're not very distinguishable from one to the other, in my opinion, except for a
yeah.
couple.
And there were some lighter songs that I probably should have like maybe like focused in on that were not that heavier kind of, but they're heavy but slow kind of songs. A lot of them are heavy but slow, if that makes any sense. Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's
Well, didn't Billy
go ahead.
Corgan get married and have like a
Yeah.
family and all that
Oh,
kind of stuff, and kind of slowed down a little bit
yeah. He's
in his
yeah.
personal
I
life?
think he's
Didn't that?
finally has children. Like he's like got had children later on, and he's I believe he lives in
I
lives in
saw that.
Chicago. I think, and so I think that's where he's from. I believe, and that's where he lives now. So you know,
So maybe he's kind of mellowed out a
yeah,
little
you know
bit.
what's funny? Yeah, maybe he doesn't feel like the world is a vampire anymore. Maybe he's like kind of like satisfied. You know what I'm saying? That could be it. Do you know
Right.
what a weird story is? Billy Corgan. This is before he got the band back together. He was doing like some kind of weird Instagram tour where he's just going around with a camera and just hanging out and taking pictures. And he actually came to Matagorda County, and where I'm from, where I was raised at. And he was there's pictures of him at the beach and at a park and going out. And this is a small town. And like a bunch of my friends texted me and they're like, Billy Corgan's at the park, and he just sat there with acoustic guitar and played. That was kind of weird, but I got a lot of friends who are diehard Smashing Pumpkins fans that are like guitar players, and they're like in a cult of Billy Corgan in their minds because he did have the influential sounds. Like, and another friend of mine came over, my buddy came over, and we listened to some of the tracks, and his first impression was he doesn't have the same guitar tone as Siamese Dream. You know what I mean? Because Siamese Dream has this really unique kind of sounding. And I don't know, Butch Vig did their album
Mhm.
Siamese Dream, and but Butch Vig did
Big garbage fan. Yeah.
Butch Vig did Smells Like Teen Spirit first, and they had him under contract to do Siamese Dream, but somehow he did Smells Like Teen Spirit first, and that dropped. And Billy Corgan says that Butch Vig ripped off his guitar tone and gave it to Kurt Cobain, but that's him talking because I couldn't
Really?
tell. But he says he stole his process to get that sound and gave it to Billy Corgan. I don't know if that's true or not, but he said that they were
Okay.
mad at Butch Vig because uh, Nirvana launched before them and they are automatically bigger than them. And he said, but Gish was great, but then he was like, but after Butch Vig, I said his right name, Merick, produced Siamese Dream, they were like,
Yeah.
okay, you did your job, we're cool, because you gave us our album that we needed, and they had today is that was their big hit. And I think what would you say the biggest hit of Smashing Pumpkins is off the top of your head?
I'd probably say Bullet with Butterfly Wings.
That's The World Is a Vampire, or that's Zero.
Yeah, that's the World of Vampire
Yeah,
song.
and I think
I would say that's probably their biggest. 1979 is pretty big
yeah,
too,
I
though.
think Billy Corgan at one point said that was his favorite song he's ever written.
Tonight.
And tonight's pretty big. Today was his first hit for sure. But yeah, great band. They're still playing, and I heard that Billy Corgan said that, like the Rolling Stones, he's going to play until he dies. He's going to not get off the stage. He says if you can keep doing it, do it. And he talked about even like how like I think he mentioned ZZ Top, and like how one of the Dusty Hill died and the band kept going. I don't know if they're still playing shows, but I haven't heard a lot
Uh-huh.
from them lately.
Yeah, they are.
And he said
They are.
yeah, if you can do it, keep doing it. Do it till you die. That's what he said. So
I'm going to write until I die. I tell people that I'm going to be writing until they nail the coffin
yeah,
lid on my coffin.
that's great. Me too, man. Well, I'd like to get back into playing some music too. But anyways, great show. Thanks for coming on,
Yeah.
Cleave. And two completely different topics. And I hope you enjoyed the discussion. And please comment on our video, on our podcast. If you disagree completely with what I said or something Cleave has said, please comment and let us know why you think differently or if you agree with us. And also, I always forget to say this, but if you're listening on Spotify or YouTube, please like and subscribe to this channel. I always forget to say that.
Like and subscribe.
Smash the like button. Yeah, I forget to always say those kind of things because we're just, I don't know, just forget. So, all right. Well, thanks for being on, Cleave, and we'll see you next time.
Sure.
And thank you all for listening. Thanks for listening to the Merick and Ulrik podcast. Please like and subscribe to this channel and tell me what movie, book, comic book, or topic you would like me to review next with our guests and who would like to be interviewed by Merick and Ulrik. Let me know, folks.